Ladies and gentlemen, this is Intervlog. I said, this is Intervlog. Today, we bring you a special message from the heart of Burkina Faso. These are the faces of the men who wanted to eliminate Captain Ibrahim Traoré through a coup, planned for April 16th, 2025. But our lion roared, and the plot collapsed. They are 1. Lieutenant Barry Abdraman, Burkina Armed Forces officer, deserter, identified as the main instigator, operating from Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire. 2. Compa Joao Reni, former officer of the Armed Forces. 3. Zerbo Laoko, former non-commissioned officer of the Burkina Army. 4th. Commander Ouedraogo Frederick, officer serving at the Integrated Operations Center of Burkina Faso. 5. Kabore Constantine, officer of the Armed Forces undergoing training in a European country but deserted and joined the group in Abidjan. 6. Captain Ouedraogo René David, on the run, tried to recruit other officers through religious and traditional leaders. What a president to praise. A coup was planned for April 16, 2025, but our lion roared and the plot collapsed.
Ainsi que sur les opérations militaires. Après analyse technique approfondie, l'individu est identifié au nom de Barry Abdraman et se trouve être un officier des forces armées burkinabè.
Let the whole world hear it. Enemies had conspired against Burkina Faso. They wanted to tear down our sovereignty, rip apart our unity, and drag our land into chaos. Soldiers, in alliance with shadowy militants, plotted a coordinated assault on the presidency. Their aim? Power. Confusion. But the spirits of Sankara and the heroes of yesteryears whispered strength into our leaders. This plan was not an illusion. It was a dangerous, deeply rooted conspiracy. From Ouagadougou to foreign capitals, traitors were moving. They planned attacks in several regions. They hoped to divide and conquer, to hand Burkina Faso to foreign puppeteers under the name of international order. And these were not amateurs. These were well-connected, well-financed, and well-armed operatives. They had maps, weapons, lists of targets. But they failed to realize one thing. Burkina Faso is a nation reborn, a nation that no longer bows to fear. But alas, the enemies forgot one thing. Burkina Faso is awake. Our intelligence services, guardians of the homeland, intercepted communications. They cracked the code. They followed the signals. They uncovered the monster hiding in plain sight. Minister of Security Mahamadou Sana, with calm courage, shared the news with the nation. An officer of the Burkina Armed Forces, Barry Abdramane, once entrusted with duty, had become a deserter and traitor. His betrayal ran deep. He was caught communicating with offering sensitive information, troop movements, strategic positions, and VDP operations. This was no lone wolf. This was a network. From Barry to Compa Joao Reni, from Zerbo Laoko to Commander Ouedraogo Frederick, from Europe to Abidjan, the conspirators wove a web of sedition. But as they conspired, the loyal among us rose higher. Burkina patriots stood alert. They watched, they listened, they acted. These are our heroes, not seen on TV, not praised on billboards, but silently standing in the shadows of the Republic to protect her. They plotted with precision. April 16th was the chosen day. Soldiers were to storm the presidency. At the same time, large-scale attacks were planned to distract and weaken the nation. Air vectors were to be hijacked. Civilians were to be panicked. The army, overwhelmed. The goal? A total collapse of order. Key installations were marked. Radio stations, television transmitters, army armories, presidential convoy routes, all were targeted. They believed Burkina Faso would kneel. They believed the people would run. They did not count on the shield of patriotism. But Burkina Faso is not built on sand. Our foundations are deep. Our roots are revolutionary, and the plot was uncovered before the snake could strike. These traitors were cowards of manipulation. They sent false messages to corps commanders to induce fear. They tried to spark mass arrests. They planted doubts. They whispered lies in barracks. They spread fake news on encrypted networks. They sought to make our defenders question one another. Even sacred traditions were not spared. They pressured religious and traditional leaders to speak to officers, to sway their loyalty. They tried to erode the bond between the people and the army. But the Burkinabe soul is not so easily bought. Social media was weaponized. WhatsApp groups, Telegram channels, deep fake videos, these were tools in their war chest. But again, their lies could not pierce the armor of truth. Oh yes, in the hour of darkness, the true sons of Faso rose. VDPs and patriotic soldiers came forward. They reported suspicious behaviors. They rejected bribes. They exposed the coup plotters. These unsung heroes saved the republic. From the intelligence headquarters to the presidential palace, reports poured in. Brave voices echoed through the corridors of power. The enemies are among us, but we will not let them win. And when they did not, arrests were made, camps were searched, phones were tapped, evidence was seized, and the plan collapsed like a house of cards. Entire cells were disbanded, ringleaders were exposed, documents, videos, chats, all revealed the ugly heart of the plot. Some ran? Yes, they did. Cowards always flee when truth rises. Some fled to Abidjan. They think they are safe, but justice travels. Justice never forgets. Justice has eyes even in foreign lands, and justice is coming. Interpol has been informed. Our regional partners have been notified. We will pursue them through the courts, through diplomacy, and through the collective will of African justice. Let every traitor hear our voice. We are watching you. We know your names. The Republic does not forget. And now, let us speak of the man who held the nation steady, the man who did not flinch, the man who trusts his people and his patriots, Captain Ibrahim Traoré. This was not just a victory for security services. This was a triumph of leadership. He allowed the investigations to proceed. He stood calm. He encouraged truth. He supported intelligence. He protected the people. While the enemies prepared bombs, he prepared justice. While they whispered lies, he walked in truth. While they schemed in the dark, he worked in daylight. This, my friends, is what we call a true head of state, a patriot, a soldier of the people. He did not issue empty threats. He organized, he delegated, he empowered his ministers, and above all, he reassured the people. His silence was not weakness, it was preparation. His calm was not passivity, it was strength. Burkina Faso, rejoice, sing, dance, for you are free, but also remain vigilant, for the snake may be wounded but not yet dead. Report suspicious activity, support your armed forces, embrace your VDPs. Let no division find space among us. We are one nation, one people, and our unity is our shield. Every student, every farmer, every trader must be a soldier of vigilance. Let traitors find no hiding place in our markets, schools, or streets. Let every whisper of conspiracy be answered with the roar of patriotism. To our brave soldiers, to our vigilant VDPs, to all who wear the uniform with honor, you are the pride of Faso. Stand firm, stay alert. Your courage saved us. Your vigilance preserved our flag. Do not be discouraged. Do not fear. You are on the right side of history. And if ever you feel tired, remember this. The eyes of the nation are watching you with pride. The hearts of the people beat with you. And Captain Ibrahim Traoré stands with you. May your boots always march in truth. May your guns always defend justice. And may your hearts never forget that you serve not just a flag, but a people. Captain Traoré, we thank you. You are not just a president, You are a protector, a guide, a son of the soil who carries the burden of freedom with strength and dignity. To the Burkinabe people, stand tall. You have defeated darkness. And when history is written, April 16th will not be remembered as a day of doom, but a day when treachery was crushed under the foot of vigilance. This is not the end. This is the beginning of a new Burkina Faso, stronger, braver, united. Burkina Faso, coup planned for April 16th, 2025, thwarted, official. Soldiers, in association with militants, had planned an assault on the presidency of Faso on April 16th, 2025, and simultaneous attacks in several parts of the country in order to sow discord and attempt to seize power. Thanks to the vigilance of the intelligence services and to denunciations, this vast plot was foiled, indicated the Minister of Security, Mahamadou Sana, on Monday, April 21st, 2025, on the 8 p.m. news on public television, RTB. A few weeks ago, intelligence services intercepted several communications between an individual and militant leaders concerning details of the positions of the defense and internal security forces, the volunteers for the defense of the homeland, as well as military operations. After a thorough technical analysis, the individual was identified as Barry Abdrahman, a Burkinabe Armed Forces officer. He was identified as belonging to the Military Justice Battalion. The search for information on him and his corps will allow intelligence agents to discover that the officer has been on irregular absence for several weeks and is subject to desertion proceedings. The surveillance of the communications of the deserter Lieutenant Barry Abdrahman will provide additional links that will be of interest to the intelligence services, notably with a former officer of the armed forces named Traoré Johani, a former non-commissioned officer of the Burkinabe Army named Zerbo Laoko, an officer serving at the Integrated Operations Center of Burkina Faso, Commander Ouedraogo Frederick, an officer of the armed forces on training in a European country but a deserter for some time, and having joined Abidjan named Kabore Constantine. The meticulous work of the intelligence services will reveal a major plot being prepared against our country, the ultimate goal of which is to sow total chaos with a view to placing the country under the tutelage of an international organization capable of regaining control in 10 or 20 years, according to the instigators. Sensitive information was passed to intensify attacks against combat forces and civilians in an effort to spark revolt against the authorities. Other strategies were also developed to disorient the intelligence services in order to induce them to make mass arrests within the defense and internal security forces, hoping to create frustration and a sense of fear. The manipulation is also carried out through messages broadcast to unfairly accuse certain people and other messages sent to corps commanders to scare them by indicating that they will be arrested because they are on a so-called blacklist. Religious and traditional leaders were asked to convince certain officers to engage in this bad mission. This was unfortunately the case of Captain Ouedraogo René David, who is currently on the run. In the same vein, VDPs were contacted to demoralize their comrades, and money was sent to them for this dirty work. All these treacherous schemes were developed with the sole aim of disrupting the army and sowing chaos. Intelligence services monitored the maneuver that, according to the militants' plotters' plan, was to culminate in an assault on the presidency on Wednesday, April 16, 2025, by a group of soldiers recruited by the nation's enemies. This assault was to be carried out at the same time as several large-scale attacks to occupy air vectors in the absence of being able to destroy them on the ground. A few days before the implementation of this diabolical project, VDP and patriotic soldiers presented themselves in several services, notably in intelligence and at the presidency of Faso, to denounce the coup in preparation. These denunciations continued until Tuesday, April 15th, 2025, and led to the arrest of the masterminds of the scheme in Ouagadougou and others fleeing to Côte d'Ivoire. It should be noted that the masterminds outside the country are all located in Côte d'Ivoire, including one named Barry Abdramane. The plot is actively continuing from their operations center in Abidjan with the goal of sowing chaos in Burkina Faso before June. Intelligence services are continuing their surveillance efforts and will keep the national public informed of any developments in the situation. Several other individuals involved are being monitored and will face the consequences of their actions when the time comes. We urge people to remain calm and vigilant and to report any suspicious activity. As for the valiant fighting forces, we encourage them to continue their mission with determination while remaining vigilant. Homeland, we will win. Why overthrowing President Captain Ibrahim Traoré would plunge Burkina Faso into chaos. In a time of global instability and regional insecurity, Burkina Faso stands at a crossroads. The West African nation has long faced threats from economic challenges and political instability. But in the past 3 years, under the leadership of Captain Ibrahim Traoré, Burkina Faso has begun to chart a new course, one marked by self-reliance, agricultural transformation, military revitalization, and national dignity. Any attempt to overthrow President Traoré at this critical moment would not only sabotage the progress made, but would also thrust the nation into profound chaos. This article explores the reasons why removing Captain Ibrahim Traoré would destabilize the country and why no future president could easily replicate his extraordinary achievements. One of Captain Traoré's first priorities upon assuming power was to restore security. At a time when large portions of Burkina Faso were under the control of armed insurgents, President Traoré took decisive action. He restructured the defense apparatus, invested heavily in the military, and empowered the volunteers for the defense of the homeland, VDPs. He prioritized the purchase of military equipment, expanded the training of patriotic youth, and created specialized units through strategic partnerships with countries outside traditional Western alliances. He diversified military support and intelligence sharing. As a result, several key areas previously under militant occupation were liberated. Citizens began returning to their villages, markets reopened, and farmers resumed cultivation. Removing President Traoré now would dismantle this progress. It would demoralize the military and the VDPs and return the nation to a state of fear and displacement. Perhaps no other African leader in recent times has focused so intensely on food sovereignty. President Traoré understood that no nation can be free when it cannot feed itself. Under his leadership, Burkina Faso launched massive agricultural projects, the acquisition of over 1,000 tractors and trucks to support mechanized farming, expansion of irrigated farmland in Banzan and Solenzo to boost rice and wheat production, introduction of innovative technologies such as Juncao grass, which enhances food production while protecting the environment, successful potato and tomato cultivation projects, supplying local markets and reducing dependence on imports. The results have been staggering. Burkina Faso has gone from a food importing country to a potential food exporter. Overthrowing President Traoré would jeopardize these gains, disrupt food supply chains, and increase hunger. Under Captain Traoré, Burkina Faso began laying the foundation for an industrial revolution. Key achievements include inauguration of the Moulin double-star wheat flour plant in Gampala, capable of meeting national demand, construction of the largest pasta plant in West Africa, offering value addition to local wheat, support for made-in-Burkina products, reducing import dependency. These industrial policies are empowering local farmers, creating jobs, and retaining wealth within the country. A coup would scare away investors, disrupt production, and send the country back into economic subservience. One of President Traoré's most important yet intangible achievements is restoring pride in Burkinabe identity. He has renamed public spaces to reflect national values, such as turning ECOWAS Square into Place de la Confédération des États du Sahel, asserted the nation's right to chart its own path without foreign domination, strengthened ties with like-minded countries, particularly within the Alliance of Sahel States, AES. Overthrowing him now would undermine this psychological revolution. It would send a message that national dignity can be bought or suppressed, and that external interests can override the will of the people. President Traoré has not only focused on war and food, he has also looked after the wounded and vulnerable. He delivered a mobile field hospital to provide high-level care to injured soldiers. He increased funding for healthcare in rural areas, especially for displaced populations. He initiated housing and resettlement plans for internally displaced persons, IDPs, ensuring they return with dignity. His approach is holistic. He sees development as inseparable from security. Removing him now would cause a rupture in these essential services. Unlike many African leaders, Captain Traoré has waged war not just on, but also on corruption. He has reduced the extravagant privileges of officials, redirected defense budget surpluses to agriculture and infrastructure, promoted transparency in procurement and resource management. His no-nonsense leadership has inspired confidence. Attempting a coup against such integrity would replace honesty with opportunism, and the common man would once again be silenced by the corrupt elite. Captain Traoré has understood the demographic strength of Burkina Faso and worked to empower its youth. Through partnerships like the Bejayethio initiative, thousands of young Burkinabe have received technical training. He has boosted entrepreneurship, creating incentives for local startups. He supports local innovation, especially in sustainable energy and agricultural tech. This youth-focused leadership has given hope to millions. A coup would replace this vision with confusion, unemployment, and migration. President Traoré is now a symbol of a new Africa, confident, sovereign, and anti-imperialist. Under his guidance, Burkina Faso has become a leading voice in the Sahel region. He advocates for African solutions to African problems. He promotes regional integration through the AES bloc. Overthrowing him would dismantle this momentum. It would return Burkina Faso to the shadows of foreign tutelage and silence its emerging voice. Most importantly, Captain Ibrahim Traoré is loved by his people. He has walked with farmers, listened to students, visited battlefields, and spoken truth to power. His popularity is not manufactured, it is earned. He lives modestly, avoids flashy ceremonies, and constantly reminds his officials of their duty. No leader in recent history has so authentically embodied the spirit of Thomas Sankara. The people of Burkina Faso see him not just as a president, but as one of their own. To remove President Ibrahim Traoré now would not just be a political change, it would be an earthquake. The military would fracture, farmers would stop planting, factories would go silent, hospitals would run out of supplies, youth would despair, the dream of a sovereign, self-reliant Burkina Faso would collapse. In its place, chaos would reign. No new leader, no matter how charismatic, could instantly replicate what Traoré has done in just 3 years, because what he has built is not just infrastructure or policy. He has built faith. Faith in Burkina Faso. Faith in the possibility of an African Renaissance. And that faith must not be betrayed. Long live Captain Ibrahim Traoré. Long live the resilient people of Burkina Faso. Long live African sovereignty. This is the end of our program today. See you on Intervlog, same time tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon to get new video updates. Thank you for watching Intervlog. Thank you.